The Sly Cooper movie has been an adaptation that has kept all Sly Cooper fans in a state of confusion. From a CGI trailer to the flop of other projects to it being changed completely. And yet, we are still in a state of confusion when it comes to the Sly Raccoon making his way to the big screen. So today, I want to explore what happened to the Sly Cooper film, while also sharing a bit of animation production knowledge to help explain why this project is in such a confusing state. And trust me, I'm about to go full nerd on this one. Let's talk about it. So let me open this video with this. Before I became a full-time YouTuber, talking about our favorite nostalgic titles, I was an editor at a 3D animation and visual effects studio. I worked there for over 2 years and worked on shows that were aired on CBC, CBeebies, and Sprout. And these shows aired in Canada, the UK, and even the US. So I got to sit in and learn a lot about the ins and the outs of when it comes to the production of 3D animation and visual effects. Keep this in mind as I dig in more about what has happened thus far with this Sly Cooper project, because boy howdy is it a ride. So back in 2014, yep, that's right, 10 years ago, Rainmaker Studios dropped a trailer that none of us expected. The trailer shows off Sly and the gang desperately trying to get to the donut shop in time before it closes to help feed Murray's voracious hunger. Sadly, they come up short and the shop has already closed. However, Sly gets the ingenious idea to steal donuts from the police station across the street. The gang now has to make a dramatic escape as the entire police station goes after Sly for stealing their donuts. The trailer ends with a tagline, "Breaking into theaters in 2016.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
At the time, the movie was being developed by Rainmaker and Blockade. These names might sound familiar as they are the same teams that worked on the Ratchet and Clank movie. More on that later in the video. The film was going to be directed by Kevin Munro, who also was the director of the Ratchet and Clank movie. However, after the initial excitement from fans for the Sly Cooper trailer, everything related to this project just kinda went downhill. One massive complaint came from the fact that while Murray and Bentley had their original voice actors reprising their roles, Sly was no longer being voiced by Kevin Miller and was replaced with Ian James Corlett. Kevin would later on say that he was never approached by Rainmaker or any of the teams who were supporting the project to voice Sly, which made many fans angry and also confused. Additionally, while the characters did have significant design changes between their in-game and CGI counterparts, Murray's design was heavily criticized. However, the Sly Cooper Movie social media team tried to reassure fans that the models were not final and of course could change in the final product. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but this should have been the very first warning that something was wrong. As more time went by, the director, Kevin Munro, shared a doodle showing Sly and the gang as kids when they were at the orphanage. Of course, this too caused controversy because Bentley was in a wheelchair. This didn't make any sense because Bentley was crippled and lost the use of his legs at the end of Sly Cooper 2. So at this point in the story, he would still have full use of his legs. Once again, fans were not happy, and once again, the social media page came forward explaining that it was just a fun sketch and to not take it seriously. When 2015 came along, there was essentially just a blackout of information. We heard nothing, but as we came closer to 2016, we started to hear small tidbits. David Wohl, one of the people who worked at Blockade, said that the movie was not going to be an origin story. The movie would take place after both Sly Cooper and the gang were already assembled. Now, there is a synopsis that was floating around, but I could not confirm if this was official or fan-made. But this is largely, according to the Sly fan base, the synopsis of what the film was supposed to be. So allegedly, the movie was going to take place during the events of the very first game, where Sly and the gang would be finding pages of the Thievius Raccoonus, which is essentially a historic memoir of the Cooper gang throughout the years of their thieving and all of their techniques. The movie synopsis mentions that Sly learns that he comes from a legendary family of thieves, which is a bit different from the first game because he already knew that he was from a legendary family of thieves, but that's just a minor complaint. Then we hit 2016, and boy howdy did we hit it. The year the movie was supposed to break into theaters, and still there was no Sly Cooper movie updates. Nothing. Zilch. Nothing at all. However, IGN had gotten an interview with Kevin Munro at WonderCon. Remember Kevin? He was the director of this movie. They decided to ask him for more details about this Sly Cooper movie, because, of course, we all want to know more. Spoiler alert, remember how I explained my experience at the start of the video? This is where it swings in.
What can you tell us about the status of that film? It's still coming out this year and all that?
I don't think it's coming out this year. I'm standing by, waiting to jump on top of it. I'm just waiting for the phone call. I know everyone's really motivated to make it work out, and I think these things just take a long time to figure out. I'd love it to be more dramatic than that, but I think honestly, it's a small miracle that like Ratchet gets made, let alone you figure out how to roll off of one right onto the other. But the good news is that PlayStation is incredibly happy with everything. Rainmaker knocked it out of the park. Our business model worked really well, and so to me it's just a matter of what story do you want to tell next. So I'd love it to be Sly. It'd be so much fun. Yeah.
What would absolutely be the thing that you would want to nail about bringing Sly to the screen?
Want to nail with it?
Yeah.
I think that there's like a cool factor with Sly that's so interesting. I know like he has heart and he's a thief with a heart of gold, but there's something about the look and feel. It's colorful film noir. There's a spirit to it and a way it moves, and we started getting into it with that teaser trailer a little bit. But that was like produced very quickly, but it was a way for us to say, here's what this movie could be. And it got a lot of people very excited, and that's been spinning ever since. And so
Wait. Did he just say he's waiting for the phone call to work on it? And did he say that the trailer is what the movie could look like?
I'm standing by, waiting to jump on top of it. I'm just waiting for the phone call. We started getting into it with that teaser trailer a little bit, but that was like produced very quickly, but it was a way for us to say, here's what this movie could be.
What do you mean could be? And again, how are you still waiting on the phone call from Sony to start production when you released a trailer with a release year on it? Ladies and gents, based off of the comments from the director himself, and based off of what I know about the production of 3D animation, what we've come to know as the Sly Cooper Movie trailer doesn't seem to be a trailer at all. I genuinely believe this was an animated concepted pitch, which, that's not a trailer. Nope, that's not the same thing as a trailer, not at all. Here is a very quick and crude production timeline of how animated movies typically are made. First off, you have the scripting and the pitching stage. So if you approach a company, like Sony in this example, and pitch your idea, and this company becomes interested in said idea, they would then fund a small team to put together a quick visual pitch. This is just a small snippet to show whether or not what's being pitched is being translated well on screen, and if the team that's doing it can actually deliver what they're promising with the amount of money they're asking and in the timeline. It doesn't have to be an actual scene from the film. It just needs to get the idea across that the team can achieve what they're saying they can. When this small animated pitch is complete, all the companies and investors involved with the snippet sit down and watch what the team produced. And if they like it, they greenlight the project and give them all the funding that they need and the time that they agreed on. If they don't like it, they either ask them to maybe tweak it and do it again, find a new team, shelf the idea, or scrap it entirely. A great example of this was the Deadpool pitch that was leaked years ago, as it was for internal use only. Initially, it was either canceled or shelved. However, someone leaked it online and the public went bananas, especially when they found out that the idea had been canned. So they decided to dig up that pitch and put that movie into production. Granted, again, the public excitement around this leaked pitch is what got the film made to begin with, but if everything went to plan, this would have never been seen by the public's eyes. Something similar happened with Crash Bandicoot, as there was an animated show in development, but was canned during its very early phases as they were exploring. However, the fan excitement didn't actually revive this pitch, which is something I want to explore later on in a different video. So subscribe if you want to stay tuned for that. Now, if this second animated 3D pitch is approved, then the team gets the full funding and the project is now green lit, allowing you to begin pre-production, which leads to production and ends in post-production. And of course, after post-production, the film is released. However, typically, a trailer showing off the movie or the show and announcing its release date is done when you are around here. Heck, if you wanted to do an early coming soon trailer just to announce that the project is in development, you could drop it closer to the end of its production. But Kevin Munro admitted in the interview that he hasn't touched or worked on Sly Cooper since the so-called trailer was launched. Additionally, he said that this is what a Sly Cooper movie could look like, meaning it's theoretical, and he still is waiting on Sony to give him the call to actually start pre-production. And here's the thing, when this interview was conducted, it was 2 years after the trailer was launched and during the year that the whole bloody movie was supposed to drop. So ladies and gents, this doesn't seem to be a trailer. This was likely an animated concept pitch that Rainmaker gave to Sony. But then, for some reason, they repackaged it and released it as a trailer with a bloody release year on it, giving no context when it hadn't even been green lit or had gotten a final approval by Sony yet. Quite literally, this trailer should have never been seen in the public eye, let alone have a release date slapped onto it. You're just adding gasoline to the fire, man. This to me is absolutely wild. This is beyond putting the cart before the horse. This is putting the tree before the foal. And if this somehow wasn't the pitch, then I don't know whose brilliant idea it was to make a trailer for a project that wasn't even fully greenlit and then intentionally release it publicly with a release date on it. So in my opinion, because the trailer was really the only official hands-on work this project had, and it being done during this pitching time that 3D animation typically goes through for development, this is likely the pitch that was given to Sony. But maybe, just maybe, Rainmaker jumped the gun because they knew in their heart of hearts that they could easily crank this project out of the park. I mean, they thought they had it so much in the bag that it didn't matter if they were way too early with their announcement, because Ratchet & Clank, the movie, was going to show how awesome they really were. The Ratchet & Clank movie was the definition of a financial flop. I mean, this movie tripped on the diving board, belly flopped, and then drowned at the bottom of the pool. This, of course, caused a great old pause on all the PlayStation adaptation projects that Rainmaker was working on, even though, as of early 2016, the director admitted that he hadn't even touched anything Sly Cooper related in any official manner since the so-called trailer pitch. So after a year had passed since the funeral service that was the Ratchet & Clank movie, Sly Cooper hit the news waves again. Rainmaker, who at this point was merged with another company, not a great sign, was no longer working on the Sly Cooper movie, but that the project was handed off to Technicolor Animation. The project was also changed from being a movie to a TV series. The plan, apparently, was to release part of the series in late 2019 and the rest in early 2020. And wouldn't you know, nothing happened. Since then, it has been nearly radio silence from all parties involved. Tidbits have come out here and there, but nothing official nor concrete has come out. So, was the Sly Cooper movie or series canceled? Actually, no. I don't think it was, in my opinion. Why, do you ask? That's because it probably wasn't even officially green-lit in the first place. You can't cancel what technically didn't start. You can't lose a race that you didn't show up to. You can't drop the ball if there's no ball to hold on to. Now, I don't know whose fault it was to release what I believe is the pitch, but repackaged as a trailer to the public. All I know is someone made a really bad call, and it caused a lot of confusion and disappointment for many Sly Cooper fans. So, now what? Well, it's possible that a Sly-related project is in development, but we have no hints or statements that can confirm that. We know that PlayStation has established a production studio that is responsible for leading the charge on video game adaptations, like God of War and Horizon. And we know that the director of the live-action Uncharted movie is apparently doing a Jak and Daxter film. With Jak and Daxter being quite similar and related and grouped in with Sly Cooper, it's possible that Sony might still be interested in making an adaptation of Sly Cooper. Additionally, I kind of observed that a lot of Sony's film adaptations has a game that launches alongside the adaptation. As in, whenever the adaptation is released, some version of the game that the adaptation is based on also releases, typically around a month or two before or after. So it's possible that Sony is looking for a studio to also develop a Sly game to release alongside this Sly Cooper adaptation, but that is just me speculating. At the end of the day, no matter who decided on it, this pitch, this concept trailer, whatever you want to call it, should have never been seen by the general public as a repackaged trailer with a release date, because all it did was hype up and excite Sly fans, only to leave them in the dark to what this actually was. And if the footage for some reason was being pushed to be released, I wish that context was given as to what it actually was, and that the project wasn't quite approved yet, and to not put a release date or year on it. Now, if you want to check out more Sly Cooper, Crash Bandicoot, or even Spyro the Dragon content, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye-bye!